Everyone, my name is Alyssa Goodeaux. I'm a connection coach, and I wanted to talk about bad essential oil advice. I've had people personally come up to me and ask me questions and tell me things. Um, and I've seen it on Facebook group conversations and in videos like the 5-minute hacks and, stuff like that. People using peppermint and spearmint and clove and cinnamon in their baths, around their eyes, on their lips to do all these crazy things, like to make them appear prettier and just crazy things. And please don't do this. I can't stress this enough how important it is for you to get familiar with your oil before you just go take somebody's advice on what to do with it. So especially if you're doing something around your eyes or your nose and things like that, these parts of your body are a lot more sensitive than the rest of you. And even places like your wrist or, your thighs or, wherever, these places are more sensitive. And let me tell you, if you're using something spicy is what I like to refer to them as. If you're using something spicy like peppermint or spearmint, the fumes are so potent and powerful. And if you're putting them directly under your eyes, it's going to burn. And especially if you're using them in your baths too, they don't really feel too great if you're sitting in them. And everybody has a little bit of a different response to them. But that's why it's so important. If you're going to be using any oils for any reason, make sure you're testing and researching. So first and foremost, if you're using them on your body physically, or if you're doing them internally, which I don't recommend unless you really know what you're doing, use a skin patch test before you do anything. Make sure that your skin isn't sensitive to it, and really get a feel for the way that it smells, for how your body responds to it, if it's cool or warm, and of course check it physically to make sure there's not a rash or anything else happening, and use diluting oils. I know some people think that it's bad to dilute or these sorts of things, but if you're using coconut or almond or other types of oils, these can actually have healing properties themselves, and so it actually enhances the oil, and it helps your skin. If it's sensitive, it helps your skin to absorb it better. It helps it not be so sensitive. You're helping to protect your skin. So also, a lot of people, they feel like they have to, especially if they're doing it in their baths or things like that, they feel like they have to use a lot of the oil. Especially if you're using a quality oil, it really doesn't take that much. There are actually proper dilutions, proportions that you should be using, but generally speaking, if you're just using them for, any old random thing, do maybe a drop or so in some coconut oil or whatever, and work your way up to it. If you just, say you're taking a bath and you think that you have to put 20 drops of oil in it, I promise you. And not every oil is the same. Some are more potent than others in the way that you respond to them. So build up to it. You can always add more, but if you add too much, you can't take it back, and then you feel awful, and it doesn't always feel that great. So also look for the quality of oil that you have. Things that can give you a hint as to what kind of quality they can give. Look for the name of the oil, of course, but also look for the Latin name. Look for the plant name. Do some research on the difference between what types of plants of whatever you're using. I know some people, they buy lavender thinking that it's lavender, but the plant that they're getting it, it's actually lavandin, which is a little bit different. It smells a little bit different and has a little bit different purposes. And also look on the bottle, the essential oil bottle, look for where it comes from, the distributor, do your research on them, see how if it tells you to, do the research on how they're distilling it and where they're taking the plant from, because depending on where the plant is coming from, some are native to certain areas and some aren't, and that really does make a difference in what kind of oil you're going to be putting on your body. And of course, I know some people like to put oils into their drinks and foods and stuff like that. If you're putting them in food and you're cooking them, you're going to lose any kind of beneficial healing that you would get from it. You're going to lose out on the quality of it if you're heating it. So be very careful with what your intentions are with that. But if you're drinking it as well, definitely make sure you are very well informed before you ever ingest anything. Make sure that it's from a trusted source, and make sure that you know how your body responds to oils and that sort of thing. But also, make sure you have a food grade oil if you're going to do that. Not every oil is meant to be ingested, and there are certain things that you can look at and you can see, oh, okay, orange flavoring, I can add that to a tea or whatever, and it's not going to be a big deal. I eat oranges. But there are some things like lavender that people might think that they want to take for beneficial reasons. Just make sure that you're looking for, if it says food grade, and make sure that you're really well informed before you do anything. Yeah, I kind of think it's hilarious that we have to have these conversations, but they have to be had, and it's so easy to want to take advice from people who mean well, but there are better ways to go about getting the effect that you're wanting. If you're trying to take a relaxing bath, if you're trying to get dark circles out from underneath your eyes, whatever it is, look for other options and test in a smaller way before you just go for it, because we face consequences whenever we just go for it. So tell me the ways that you like to use essential oils, and I'll try to leave some recipes or some uses and some of my favorites down below. I also have a trusted resource that I get my oils from. I go to school for it, and they actually make their own, and I use them religiously for everything, and they're amazing. And you can really tell the difference between a quality oil and a not quality oil whenever you're using something like this from a trusted source like the school. We actually take test strips, and we do a drop or two onto the test strips, and we look at the color, we look at the consistency, and we smell the tones over time. So the smell from whenever you put it on the test strip immediately versus whenever you go back 10 minutes later, versus back when you go a few hours later, versus a day later. You just keep getting more and more familiar with it. And the more that you familiarize yourself with it, if you buy products with these different herbs and stuff in it, you can actually immediately start to tell, hey, this has this in it and this has this in it. And if they're trying to sell you a fake one, you will know right away if it's not the real thing, because it will smell and feel and look completely different. So doing your research is always the best policy. So I can't wait to hear from you guys. Thank you so much. Bye.